Hey, this is Lance. Thanks for tuning into the Global Detection Adventures podcast. I want to go ahead and give you a heads up. There's no commercials during this episode, but I'd like to let you know that the Global Detection Adventures podcast is only made possible by the proud support of XP Detectors and Blackwell. XP Detectors are creators of the world-famous XP Deus, one of the most powerful metal detectors on the planet, and the Blackwell advanced digging aids are considered some of the best for metal detectors on the planet, and there's a reason for that. That's because they truly are. So make sure you go check out both their websites at www.xpdetectors.com and www.blackada.com. That's blackada.com. Now, let's get on with the show.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know how this machine worked.
To learn my teachings, I must first teach you how to learn.
We're Jedi, Bob. We don't fight with guns. We fight with our mind.
Man, what are we, a team? No. We're a chemical mixture that makes chaos.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Well, welcome everybody to another wonderful episode of Global Detection Adventures, the podcast. My name is Lance Goolsby. I'm coming to you live from the Black ADA studios in Schweinfurt, Germany, where it's been a wonderfully warm and absolutely great week for metal detecting. And joining me, coming from a soundproof booth high above the Lambeau Field, watching the Green Bay Packers just totally destroy the Jets, it's my co-host.
Actually, they're not playing the Jets, Lance. I know you're in Germany, but they're playing Detroit Lions. I don't know if I can even say Detroit Lions in the same sentence.
Well, it doesn't matter. They're both about on the same playing field. So.
But actually, yeah, I could see the game up here from the Lambeau atrium. It's 14-0, and I'm pretty sure they'll end up blowing them out. But we got a really, really, really great show today. I guess this podcast has been blessed because we have he's not only a director, a producer, a comedian. He even sets up the craft table at your next door neighbor's movie. He's from Los Angeles, and he's a metal detecting comedian, plus other stuff. Mr. Todd Roy's with us. Todd, are you there?
The best introduction I've ever had in my entire life. You've described everything about me so accurately. I feel like you're a relative of mine.
Yeah, we haven't really met yet, but I've seen pretty much all your videos, and I really love the areas that you are detecting. But we're going to talk about your comedic background, we're going to talk about your producing background, and we're going to get into metal detecting, and we're just going to pick you apart. We're going to pick your brain apart, and
listen,
you have some tips from us about a video. If you're a metal detectorist and you're making videos, you got tips for us. This is going to be just a plethora of great information from you, right, Todd?
Yes, absolutely. And if you're going to pick my brain apart for all of my metal detecting knowledge, I'm new at this, so it'll probably be about a 2.5-minute segment.
Well, you said you had to leave in 45 minutes, so we'll
it's just 45 minutes of dead air and 2 minutes of my metal detecting knowledge.
It's not like your shows when you're doing stand-up, right? Because you got the pack houses. You performed in Los Angeles, right? At the Comedy Store.
Yeah, on Sunset Boulevard. In fact, when I got into stand-up comedy, I was telling my friends I wanted to do stand-up, and they all laughed at me. But now that I'm actually doing the stand-up, no one's laughing.
Well, I've watched some of your stand-up clips, and you carry yourself really well. You don't look nervous. You got a good tone to your voice. Your comedic timing is great. And your material, I can see your material, and you really make the audience enjoy themselves. I've watched you at 4 different places right now, and you got a pretty good following.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And who would have thought that one of the side effects of Viagra would have been doing good stand-up? Apparently, all those things you listed are side effects from the Viagra. And I pop a few of those before I go up on stage, and I'm confident, I'm funny, I'm persistent. And so, but it is, thank you very much for the kind words, though. It is a lot of fun doing stand-up. Have you ever tried that? You got a pretty good voice, too.
I actually, funny story, because you're about what, 40, something like that? In there, 39,
47, 40, but with makeup. I could look 46.
I'm a little bit older than you, but actually I was entertainment industry, I don't know if you were born. You probably were 10 or 12, 15 years old. You might have heard of a show called Dino and Rocco's Back Alley. It's way back then in mid-'80s, late '80s, early '90s, and it was a cable show we did. But me and my partner, we decided, hey, let's go do one of those free stand-up. You go to the comedy store and they have those
the
open mic nights.
Yeah.
So we get there about 8 o'clock. We sign up. We freaking didn't even get on until like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. So we're just walking around Hollywood for 6 hours. And I go, come on, when are they going to put us on? I got to get up to go to work the next morning. So we get in there, and there's only about 12 people left by the time we got in there. And there was a table of a bunch of African-American ladies and a few people in front. And it was being hosted by Jim Carrey at the time, before he became big.
Yeah. Wow.
And so we started getting heckled by the black chicks. And so we went to our repertoire of black, I wouldn't call them racist jokes, but they were pretty bad. And so at the end of the show, Jim Carrey comes back on, and he's like, and that was Dino and Rocco's rendition of Mississippi Burning. I guess we were really, really, really pretty bad, but that was the first and probably the last time I think I got a bad taste in my mouth, only because I had to wait so long to get on stage, and you get to a point where you're psyched, and then you just kind of like, I don't really want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
But I'm here, so I have to do it anyway, So I just kind of didn't have the energy by the time I was to get up there and to do the material. And plus, we didn't have much material to work with. We were kind of just going by ad-libbing and stuff like that. But it was a fun experience. It was a good experience. But I got to tell you, I give a lot of props to stand-up comics because it's a tough business.
It is. The open mics, too, are just difficult anyways, because the audience for most open mics are other comedians just waiting to get their butts up there on stage to do their 3 minutes of material.
I never
So they usually have their head down, they're making notes, they're not paying attention to you, they just want you to hurry up. And then usually, if you get on an open mic list at the end of the list, you might have 3 people in the audience, because once a comedian goes up and does his bit, he's off to another open mic somewhere. So they as the show progresses, the audience gets smaller and smaller. So it's incredibly demoralizing by the end of the night.
I don't know if I was more demoralized than being tired, because but it was a good experience. But like I said, it's something that once you do it, either you're going to want to go back and do it some more, you got this big, lift, or you knew that, hey, we just tried it, just like heroin,
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, I got the addiction to it, so I do love doing this. It's one of the best art forms, and if there's anybody out there that's thought about doing stand-up comedy that has that itch, just do it. Just practice it. Don't give up. Just go do it. It's never too late.
So I see you go from clubs to clubs. You travel all around the United States and you go to these clubs.
No,
they put you up for a night, or you just stay in LA area?
Yeah, I don't go out of the U.S., and I've not really gone too far out of California. There's a circuit here in the Los Angeles area that some promoters, once they notice you, they'll book you onto shows. And so I get onto those a little bit here in the Southern California area. I've been asked to go to some out-of-state areas, but because the stand-up comedy stuff doesn't pay, and I've been so busy with my real job, it's you have to make a choice.
Yeah.
I can't quite take that plunge. I don't have enough FU money stashed away yet to just make stand-up my full-time thing. So it's almost like metal detecting for me a little bit. Something I can do on the weekends that's kind of like therapy that I project onto an audience. And that's where I set on it. So, no, I haven't traveled around the country yet. I've just basically around Southern California.
So do you get on those, before you go on stage, do you have to do interviews for local radio stations, or do you ever get involved with that at all?
Just podcasts, when it comes to like the stand-up hierarchy, I'm kind of on the lower level of it, because I've only been doing stand-up for about a year now. Now, I have been in the entertainment business on other avenues like producing and directing, so I know a lot of the people that do stand-up, but I'm not a known entity in stand-up. So usually the promotion of that isn't me. I might go on some other comedians' podcast or on some, get mentioned in some magazines or something like that about upcoming shows that I'm doing. But mainly it's just promoting through my social media, through Facebook and through Twitter and Instagram. That's pretty much how I try to get people to be aware of the shows that I'm doing. And then some people come out and check it out. They have a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, looking at your resume, it's like you have a lot of stuff going on, and it's like you wouldn't think that you would only been in this business a year.
Yeah.
Well, in the
seems
stand-up
like
part,
you could have been in this 10, 15 years already, with all the stuff you've been doing.
You know what it is? I wish I would have.
When did you get started in the entertainment industry?
Well, I started making films about 15 years ago, and I wish I would have started stand-up back then, because I would be awesome at that. I love stand-up. I would have been really, really deep into stand-up by now. But stand-up, that desire to do it didn't happen until about a year ago, when a friend of mine went up and did it. And I'm like, wait a minute. He's doing stand-up? I'm funnier than that guy. I'm going to go do it. And that's how I started. But yeah, but I have been producing and directing here in Los Angeles since 2008. Wow. And working with a lot of, top people, from Randy Jackson to Stan Lee and all this other stuff. But yeah, I wish I would have jumped into stand-up back then. So folks out there listening, if you need something to do for a hobby besides, and you're already metal detecting, go do stand-up. Can't go wrong. Metal detecting and stand-up. That's what my YouTube channel is all about now.
Well, I can tell you one thing, that you've really combined the two together. The metal detecting videos that you actually created and put together, they're some of my favorite ones that are on there. It's not only the fact that it's you going out and trying to learn your XP Deus. It's a caricature of you going out there. It's just like it seems like with every episode, you got your little groupies that are hanging around somewhere. It's like Where's Waldo in the video? When are the girls going to be popping up somewhere?
That's such a good way to put it. I need to quote that and put that on like some sort of poster.
But the videos are really hilarious. I wish more people would get into them, because I think if more people watch those videos, first they'd find the fun that's actually in metal detecting, because you do kind of capitalize on that, on the comedy in your videos. And then the second part about it is, even though you're not finding much in them besides Nazi bases in California, you're having fun doing it. And more people need to realize how much fun this hobby is.
Yeah, but do you know what I really found? The most valuable thing I found so far? I found myself.
Yeah.
I found myself out there.
Yeah, that is one of the greatest things.
I'm not kidding. In a way, that's true. It is. It's a wonderful hobby. But here, I purposely kept myself ignorant because I wanted there to be a progression through the videos I make of me learning the machine just from scratch. Like, I didn't want to know anything. I didn't look at YouTube videos at the time when I first started going down. I just wanted to go out and try to capture that experience of trying to learn this new craft and hobby. I am getting better. I can now pretty much tell the difference between before I dig something up, if it's a bottle cap or a nail. Before I couldn't even do that, but now using the Deus, looking at the conductivity charts, the numbers that are coming up, the tones, I'm really pretty good at determining that, okay, that's probably a nail, or that's probably a bottle cap or some sort of metal sludge down there or something, and then I'll go dig it up, and I get excited that it was a bottle cap or a nail. But the fact that I predicted it ahead of time is such an achievement. It makes me so happy. Now, if I could just get that discrimination figured out and start just getting the higher value targets, I'll be very, very happy. But that is coming, that I am willing to do that.
Go ahead. Where did you start metal detecting? Like, what some of the locations that you first started to go to, and then how did you progress into other areas? And what's your strategy in finding good places to hunt in California?
That's a good question. The first place that I went to was just here at Griffith Park, a place that was kind of away from metal pollution, to park here in Los Angeles. It's a big park. But you're not going to find any like historic targets there necessarily. It was just to take the machine out and kind of like play with it. The second place I went to, what was that?
Yeah, that was the place. It was like an old dried riverbed where you were going around?
No. So the second place I went to, someone recommended that if you want to practice, there's a riverbed in Santa Clarita, which is near Six Flags Magic Mountain. And so I went out there, and that was the second video I made of me out at the riverbed. And it turns out riverbeds are just full of pollution, but it's still pretty fun because there's no one around. And for me, when I metal detect, I kind of like the idea of going out by yourself, having a small adventure. Like when we watch shows like not Survivor Man, but Man vs. Wild or River Monster, here's a guy going out on an adventure, but most of us don't have the resources or the ability to like parasail from a jet fighter into a tropical island or go to the Amazon and fish for a week. But all of us have within our means to pack a lunch, grab a metal detector, and go out to some field that maybe there's a little bit of history and have our own personal adventure that maybe isn't as spectacle as Man vs. Wild, but is still just as meaningful. And that's very appealing to me. And in my imagination, I can go to a riverbed and have an adventure just digging up stuff. I feel that this is our Pokemon Go, This is us going out and trying to catch things.
It really is.
We were the original. We were Pokemon Going before Pokemon Going was Pokemon Go. Take that,
yeah, I find myself getting up real early in the morning. Sometimes I'll be up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm out there before the sun even comes up, just itching to get metal detecting in. And again, I'd rather be by myself out somewhere. And you're walking, you're getting exercise, you're getting fresh air. But here we're running out of spaces to find some good coins and good silver here in Green Bay, Wisconsin. So we find ourselves traveling more and more and more. And that's when the hobby gets a little bit more expensive. But in Los Angeles, you guys got a ton of places to choose from.
Yeah.
Well, is it legal? I mean, what is the legality of metal detecting in parks in Los Angeles? Do you have to have a permit, or
sometimes this is the way it breaks down? So I went to this place called Murphy Ranch, which is, believe it or not, it's an abandoned clandestine Nazi camp that was shut down in the early 40s, and it was built as kind of a sanctuary for Nazi sympathizers and Nazis themselves. That when World War II ended and Hitler won, there was going to be all this chaos in America before fascism spread its over the country. So they wanted to have this 50-acre oasis where they could ride out the storm. So this place called Murphy Ranch was built to be self-contained, self-reliant. They had their own water supply. They had their own diesel fuel supply. They had gardens. They had bunkers. They manufactured stairs into the sides of the mountains so that the patrols could transgress around the mountainsides easier. And this was this little place right here in the middle of Los Angeles that, when discovered, was shut down by the government. And it sits today in disarray. It's abandoned. The buildings are all falling apart. Now, I don't know the legality of metal detecting there because that place is, it's one of those urban places where people just go and graffiti and there's no one down there. I think it's owned by the city of Los Angeles, and I believe that in the city of Los Angeles, you do have to get permission to metal detect. So I probably went there illegally. Not a felony, a misdemeanor. If I had to go back and go there again, I would check with the city and get the proper paperwork. State parks in California, don't even take a metal detector there. You're just going to get in trouble. Don't go. Don't, unless you get permission. You have to get permission.
I think that's going to be about everywhere.
I don't know the city because I don't really do stuff around the city. I go out into the high desert. I go out into basically the places in between the national parks and the national forest. I don't go on any national place. The place I went to last was a place called Newdale, which is an old ghost town that was shut down in 1903. And it's about a 30-minute drive out into the desert from 29 Palms, and there's no one out there. There's nothing. It's not on the Bureau of Land Management property. it's just out there. In fact, it's recommended if you're a metal detector, it might be a place to go. That's how I heard about it on a metal detector forum. So I went out there and checked it out. That was the last video.
There's a place I want to get back over there. I think it's called Calico. What was it? Calico Ghost Town, whatever it was. It's now it's like sort of more of an amusement, not amusement park, but it's kind of a recreation of an old ghost town. It's just there is on the way to Vegas by Barstow in that area. And if you go off the beaten path there, you can actually go through. There's a canyon that I just went off road with my truck, and all these open mine pits you can see them in the hills, all the open hills. I would love to get back there and do a little metal detecting in an open area, because I think a camp was there at one time. Have you gone to some of these camps, like these gold mining camps from way back when?
Yes, I just went out there a couple of weeks ago. This place in near 29 Palms called Newdale, and you could look it up, was a town that was built as a ghost. It's a gold mining town. So at one time, and you know what, I can maybe on my Facebook page I'll post up the coordinates. So you can Google image it, because you can see the ruins from Google Earth, right? You can see it from Google Maps. And there was at one point a saloon, a smelting area, a hotel, a general store, and a Sayer's office, which through my research I learned was an office that had to deal with the claims of land ownership and not spell casting like I originally thought. I was wrong about that. So you do learn things through metal detecting. But also up by Newdale was the OK mine, and there's a couple other structures and buildings that are up there that haven't been touched since 1905. And there's a lot of great places to go metal detect up there. It's a bit of a haul to get up there, but that's what my last video was about. So yeah, here in California, we are fortunate that there are over 700 abandoned ghost towns, mining towns, just in this state alone.
I'll be headed out that way early January, man. And if I have some time, I'm going to hook up with you, man, so we can go out to one of these ghost towns over the weekend and see if we can find some really cool stuff.
Listen, I got a Jeep and some Red Bull. Let's go. I'm ready.
All right.
That's all it takes, folks. That's all it takes. Just get out there.
All right, we're going to take a little break now. I'm Dave D. I'm with Lance Goolsby. He's my partner in crime here. And we're talking with Todd Roy, comedian and metal detectorist from Los Angeles. And we'll be right back after these words.
And now, from a studio in the United Kingdom, it's David Sadler and the Archaeology and Metal Detecting Magazine News.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Global Detecting Adventures News. With me, Dave Sadler from Archaeology and Metal Detecting Magazine in the UK. My apologies for the absence of the programme 2 weeks ago. Gremlins hit the system and I was unable to get the recording working, apart from nothing but noise. Anyway, here I am, and this week's news, we go back a couple of weeks to lightning that hit a tree, revealing a pot with gold coins in Aranjelovac in Belgrade, Serbia. Lightning struck an old tree in the yard of the family Mitrovic, writes the local news. There was a several blow of thunder and then a strong explosion in our backyard. The lightning hit an oak more than 100 years old. We thought it was destroyed by the lightning, but until the morning I did not move it. I went outside with the chainsaw and began cutting it when I saw something strange in the root of the tree, said Marko Mitrovic. I dug up the dirt and saw a jar filled with gold coins. Then we counted it exactly 2,000 pieces, and the value is estimated to be about €300,000, maybe even more. We've been lucky enough to receive an article from one of Global Detecting Adventures' very own listeners, that of John McCraw. He sent us an article, and if you go onto the site you can see this in the article area, regarding metal detecting at one of his sites in Florida in the US of A at Fort Crane. John's added a lot of images of finds from the site and other such things regarding it. A fantastic article that's had some good feedback, so thanks John for that. In other news, just this week, an ancient Viking warrior blade is unearthed by Icelandic goose hunters. Hunters tracking geese in the wilds of southern Iceland have returned with an unexpected catch, an incredibly well-preserved 1,000-year-old Viking sword. A group of hunters fortuitously stumbled upon the weapon in, why do I do this with different countries and not being able to pronounce the name? Well, go for it. Skaftarthreppur in South Iceland, a region badly hit by floods last year. Pictures of the Viking weapon of war, a double-edged sword, show it to be in remarkably good condition, save for the tip which is broken off. The sword is slightly curved at the point, and due to years of exposure, the metal blade has partially corroded, but despite years out in the open, splinters of wood can still be observed around the handle. The extraordinary discovery has been handed over to the Cultural Heritage Agency of Iceland, who described it as an exciting Viking find and speculate it may have come from a previously undiscovered settlement or grave. We date the sword at the stage to be around 950 AD or even prior to that, the agency's director, Kristen Huld Sigurdardottir told RT.com. We are very excited here as it's the only 23rd sword from Viking times found in Iceland. On to personal matters, Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine, along with Tempest Metal Detecting and Archaeology Group, recently organised and ran a metal detecting rally here in the UK. A fantastic day, which was a charity event for the Mayor of Rochdale, and in particular one of his charities, the Lee Rigby Foundation. We had a great day. The Fines Liaison Officer for the county, Vanessa Oakton, was there, along with well-known guest of the show, Dawn and Twig the Dig. Digger Dawn and Twig the Dig, may I apologise. And some fantastic items were found. I think everybody brought out some coins of substance. For me, my favourite and most exciting find of the day was a 1600 Civil War cannonball, which really got my juices flowing. Other things were added to the finds list, and again, one in particular was a 1779 gold George III. I can't remember the word. Guinea. There you go. I had to think at the top of my head. I should have written that down previously. Which was found by a gentleman called Dave Donaghy, a friend of mine who only started a short period of time ago, and came into the metal detecting world and bought himself a Garrett 250. So congratulations to that, and thank you to everybody who took part in the event. That's it from the news. Obviously, all these items of news can be found on the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine website, and you can find out more at www.archmdmag.com. Thanks everybody, and hello to Lance and to Dave. Have a great show as normal, and I'll speak to you in 2 weeks.
Hi, this is Gary from XP Metal Detectors, reporting to you from the XP Summer Gold Rally 2016. It's Saturday evening. People have been out detecting, they've made some great finds. Now we're just chilling out around the fire, having some beers, socialising, and just generally having a good time. The sense of camaraderie here is unbelievable. There's lots of people from all around the world, all with different languages, but somehow we're just managing to communicate and have a good time. And the guys from France, I just got to say, they've really made the party. They know how to party, these guys. They haven't stopped drinking, they haven't stopped eating, they haven't stopped enjoying themselves. The Mazons brought 2 coachfuls of people over to the UK, to this rally especially. And they've won the tug of war, but nobody realised they were going downhill, which is a bit of a cheat really, but it's all in great atmosphere. I've met lots and lots of people from different countries. I've met guys from Bulgaria, Norway, Sweden, Holland, Italy, Denmark, Poland, Germany. We've got Daniel here from metaldetecting.com. He runs the XP America's website. Here's what he has to say.
Wow, this is very large. It's what I hear one of the largest that's ever been put on, and it's much larger than most in the U.S. It's beautiful weather too.
Well, as you can hear, the band's playing in the background. I want to get a couple of beers in before the French guys drink it all, so I'll catch you next time on the GDA podcast.
All right, we're back. You're listening to the GDA podcast. That's Global Detection Adventures, and we're with comedian and metal detecting extraordinaire
I love hearing that. That's so awesome.
Is it good? Is there extraordinaire now? He's been in there 1 year. He's an extraordinaire. We're talking to Todd Roy. I'm Dave D, and there's Lance Goolsby. And Todd, Halloween's coming up. And I'm really afraid to go to your house, bring my kids there.
Yeah, actually, I don't think anyone's really excited.
Even some of the parents. I mean, I know you put on this big display of a Halloween display, but...
you give them a show. You got to give the kids a show. But you know what?
Yeah,
like I said, they don't say treat, right?
No, they definitely
they say
don't.
Trick or treat.
Right.
Why are we giving them candy? There's no reason to do that. You got to trick the kids.
Yeah, they are basically daring you to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I got kids coming out of there crying. I got mothers that are scolding you. What are you giving these kids?
I'm giving them hot sauce. I go to Taco Bell and I get the hot sauce packets. I give that to them instead of candy. And a kid on a dark porch can't tell what you're throwing in his bag. The kid's going to think he's getting candy. And don't tell him. Don't. Let him go home and dump the bag out.
Oh, that's so
let him experience adult disappointment. Just let him think he's getting candy and he gets hot sauce. That's really what life is as you grow up.
You remember going trick-or-treating and you get the apple and you get it out and you just throw it down the street, or somebody gives you an apple, you throw it right away. But then imagine just getting a hot sauce pack. You're sitting there, what the hell is the kid would just if I was a kid for 10 minutes, I'd be looking at this hot sauce pack trying to figure out who the hell gave me a hot sauce pack and how did this thing get in my bag?
You're like going through your thing, backtracking every house you went to. Okay, who could it have been? Could it have been Mrs. Johnson? No, I don't think it was Mrs. Johnson. Could it have been Mr. Roy? Yes, I think it was Mr. Roy.
Yeah,
I remember one guy came out and he started doing magic tricks. And the kids were like, "No, I didn't ask for a trick. I wanted a treat." I think what you got going there is. So where do you get the hot sauce from?
You just go to Taco Bell, man. They give that stuff out. They don't even ration it. They just have vats of the stuff next to the straws and napkins, so you can just scoop all that stuff up. And this is the time to do it, folks. Look, candy's expensive, right? The sugar industry's imploding because it's proven that it's bad, so you're actually helping the kids, really. Give them some. And let me tell you, really, what adulthood really is, it's the expectation that life is going to be full of candy and treats, and you just get hot sauce and mustard. So we're preparing the children, right? We're preparing. We all know that from metal detectors. They could be metal detectors. You think you're going to get gold? You get a beer bottle cap. There you go. That's life.
There you go. Life throws you curveballs, man. You got to know how to hit them, right?
That's a good analogy. I didn't think of it that way.
Hey, ever since we got rid of the puberty rights, man, we're not training men. We're not turning boys to men, right? They just grow up to be big, giant 45-year-old boys, right? We gotta crack these kids' egos at a young age. So give them hot sauce. Just give it to them.
Oh, that's great.
So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and play the clip of this one and let everybody listen to Todd sit and talk about handing out hot sauce on Halloween.
Just listen to the moms and some of the kids.
Here's the thing. People don't believe I did it. And I cut in video of me actually doing it. And if you want to watch it, it is on my YouTube page.
Yeah, we'll play it here, but you definitely got to watch it in order to appreciate it. And directly afterwards, we got Patrick White coming in from the Vulcan Treasure Society. He's got a new recording that we are extremely excited about. I know, Dave, you were extremely excited to hear this one.
Yeah, it's one of his best pieces, and when he actually gave us the clip to listen to, it was just different, and like I said, Patrick is getting better and better at these, and this one is going to really surprise some people. But let's listen to the Todd Roy clip of him giving out hot sauce on Halloween.
It's embarrassing to be single at my age. I'm in my 40s, Go try to see a movie like Zootopia by myself on a Saturday night. Notice the parents moving their kids away from me. I get it. Hurts a little bit because I like kids. They're cool, That's why I like Halloween so much. It's the best holiday, right? It's one of the last holidays where we can interact with children and you don't look like a pervert, right? Kids come up to you, trick or treat, right? Trick or treat. Why are we giving them candy if they say trick or treat? They don't say treat, treat. They say trick or treat. This is why I don't give candy to the kids on Halloween. No, we should all be doing what I do. I go to Taco Bell and I get all those free hot sauce packets, and when the kids come up to me, I throw those in their bag.
Did he give you hot sauce? I want some real candy, not hot sauce.
Don't tell them. Let them go home and find out for themselves, because when they pour out their bag what they think is chocolate and candy and find ketchup and mustard packets, they're going to understand adult disappointment for the first time in their life. We're helping the kids grow.
This is chili.
What is it?
It's from Taco Bell. I think it has a hot sauce.
The kids are crying.
They're crying?
Yes.
You want some candy? Here's hot sauce. Welcome to adulthood. There you go. That's really what it is. Get used to that. Probably figured out I don't have children either. Yeah, surprise.
Did you guys find the mummy?
Yes,
Well, hello everybody. This is Patrick White from the Vulcan Treasure Society. And this is just a short history about metal detecting and about how it came to be and what it is and where I think it is going. I will also explain how and why I founded the Vulcan Treasure Society, what it is now, and where I hope it is going. Now, in the beginning, before the age of electricity, mankind found things underground like water using divining rods or even pendulums. Divining rods are just metal rods that are bent at 90-degree angles made out of copper or steel or even aluminum or brass. They're held in each hand and held straight out, and when you walk forward and over something that's underground, the rods will cross. This is not witchcraft. It is just nature. The majority of the early water wells found in America were using this method. Understand that you are an electrical being, and that when you hold metal rods in your hands, you are actually charging them, making them sensitive to the minerals and the magnetic lines of force you are walking over at all times. The rods react to those fields. And again, this is not some kind of witchcraft, but a primitive science. And you can thank dowsing for much of the underground water and oil that we take for granted on our planet. Let us move forward to where we had electricity, but we were still in our infancy in knowing how to use it. In 1881, President James Garfield was struck by an assassin's bullet. But it took that bullet 11 weeks to kill him. The surgeons, for some reason, were unable to find the bullet because it had actually changed course after entering the body, perhaps hitting a bone. Now, enter inventor and electromagnetic engineer Alexander Graham Bell, who came to the call of duty and invented the first metal detector called the magnetic induction device to find the bullet. Unfortunately, the infection had already set in, and at the doctor's advice, he was looking at the wrong half of the body. He was looking at the right half of the body instead of the left half where the bullet actually was. Now, President James Garfield died September 19, 1881. It was just a little bit too little, too late. But however, the invention of the magnetic induction device would become our modern-day metal detector. The military grabbed up the technology. They were excited in order to find landmines and submarines and other metal objects. Metal detecting has come a very long way since then, and when you think of that every single probe we have ever sent into space has been absolutely loaded with an array of mineral and metal detectors, gas detectors, light detectors, and even life detectors. We are looking for something out there, and it just makes sense that so would any other being that's out there. If you are a corporeal being in this universe, then gold is valuable because of its properties. And there is gold right here on Earth, as well as silver, platinum, and other precious metals on other celestial bodies. And that is what actually fuels the space industry. The space pirates of today continue to look for the same things we have throughout recorded history. Which brings me to how and why I founded the Vulcan Treasure Society. I decided to look for treasure about a year or so ago, and so I bought a bunch of gold prospecting equipment. But soon I became aware of a few things, and number one, that there is no place anywhere near me where I could expect any reasonable success. Number 2, that sifting through tons of earth for a gram of gold was harder work than I wanted to perform. And best of all, number 3, that gold prospecting and metal detecting go hand in hand. So I went ahead, I got myself a pretty sweet Fisher Gold Bug, an extremely powerful metal detector that I love so much. And I dig coins, jewelry, and relics with ease, and I love the local parks. But one day, I noticed some divot holes in the park indicating that someone had been there before me. And I thought, well, shoot, I might as well just go home because this area is fished out. But then I thought of seeding the area with more things for some reason. And so that the next person with a metal detector would find a nice little coin or a small little piece of jewelry. And then I thought of planning it with a note. And then I thought of making a place where people can report what they found or bury, and so they could actually join me in seeding the planet with treasure. And then, of course, as time went by, I only wanted to plant bigger and better things. So I actually do my best, even as a poor boy. And so can you. Just go ahead and check out your garage, your dresser drawers, your couch cushions, and everywhere, your toolboxes for cool stuff that you have no use for anymore. I mean, that gold watch, or whatever kind of watch, or that nice piece of jewelry that's really nice, but you know deep down inside that you're never going to wear it again. You have no use for it. Just go ahead and take it. Put it in a box, put it in a plastic bag, put it in something, and bury it with a note from the Vulcan Treasure Society. And if you do it right, the person who finds it will likely remember it for the rest of their life. So go ahead and make it a good one. I myself, I'm in Central Texas, and the Vulcan Treasure Society so far has spread to Alberta, Canada, where Daryl Eitz has planted a real nice box. And Brian Ermintrout is preparing to bury in Arizona. And there is also hopes, big hopes in Germany, England, France, and even Wisconsin. I want the Vulcan Treasure Society to spread to every county in every country in the world, and then beyond. As mankind heads out into the cosmos looking for stuff, I hope we don't forget to leave something behind with a note from the Vulcan Treasure Society.
So, Todd, did you have to explain to the parents this was a joke at the end, or did you just let them go home with that?
Those parents thanked me off camera because I did something they've all wanted to do to their children, just make them cry.
Besides eat their candy, right?
So I was a hero among in their eyes,
All right, Todd, so we're back with you. Now we want to talk about some of the stuff that led up to your career. You started 15 years ago doing a lot of stuff in the writing and directing and producing. You did a show called the Jace Hall Show. Can you explain a little bit about how that show worked and how did you actually get involved with Jace?
Well, Jace comes from the video game world, and he was a big shot in video games, not only in terms of success, but in terms of size. The guy's 6'7", half black, half Italian, looks like an NBA player, huge guy, total nerd. Like if you meet the dude, he's a big, giant kid, loves video games. So back in 2002, Warner Brothers wanted to build out their video game division at the studio. You know how Warner Brothers will have a television division, a movie division? They didn't have a video game division. They used to just give away their IPs to developers to go make games. Someone at Warner Brothers said, hey, we should make games, but who can we get to run that division? So they got Jace to come in and do that. So he does that for a while. And then in 2007, Jace gets a television deal. He turns his job into a television deal to develop TV, and he calls me up and says, hey, do you want to come to Warner Brothers and make cool stuff? And I'm like, okay. Now, the reason he did that is because for the last 6 years at that point, I had been trying to make kung fu movies on my own. I'm one of the guys that made I made one of the first web series. I think one of my claims to fame is I'm one of the first people to lose a lot of money making an online show. That's probably what I might be most famous for. is back in 1999, I made a series of kung fu movies on the internet. This is pre-YouTube, pre-Facebook, pre-all of that. And Jace was a fan of that, and that's how we became friends. So in 2007, I ended up at Warner Brothers with Jace, and we're working on projects together, one of which, as you mentioned, was the Jace Hall Show. So that show was basically a video game lifestyle show that dealt with the video game industry, but not necessarily the products, but more of the personalities. Like if you're familiar with any video game programming, typically they talk about what the game does, how the game plays, what the game's about. This show is about the personalities of the people that make the games. We also threw in a lot of celebrities because we figured that would make the show more appealing to a general audience. And over the course of 5 years of making the show, it became kind of like Curb Your Enthusiasm. No one knew what the was real or not real in the show. Like to this day, people think Randy Jackson threw Jason and I out of Warner Brothers. People believe that Stan Lee set fire to Jason's comic book collection. There's a lot of really weird stuff that happened in the show. And because it was so plausible and it was shot very aware of the cameras, we always knew the cameras were there. It feels real. So that show ran for about 6 years, and there's a chance it might be coming back now because video games are so popular now. We might be bringing it back.
Yeah, it's such a counterculture. It's its own culture in and of itself. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Well,
they're thinking about giving kids scholarships to schools to work in the gaming industry as far as building and programming games.
Yeah.
Well, I'm doing a documentary with GoPro about video game stuff, and one of the places I just visited was UC Irvine, and they're building a dedicated arena for esports scholarships that will be on the same level as the athletics department, where kids will go there for sports scholarships. Well, now you can go there for competitive gaming scholarships. It's becoming a very, in the eyes of not only just culture, but also like in terms of business and sponsors, that they're starting to become more equalized. Gaming is the largest growing segment of the entertainment industry right now, and especially when you got people like former team captain Rick Fox of the Lakers buying an esports franchise and developing it like Echo Fox that has a league team, that has a Counter-Strike team. It is growing, and it's only going to get more and more mainstream.
Yeah, it's amazing. My son used to be a member of the Electronic Sports League here in Europe, and he was getting actually paid for playing video games in a competition setting online. This was, about 10 years ago, about 8-10 years ago.
Yeah, and now you look at like TBS with the E-League and ESPN starting to carry tournaments. So it's only heading in one direction. This is where the audience is. This is where the younger people are consuming their content, and it's becoming more and more mainstream. And the show, very ahead of its time, the Jace Hall Show touched upon that stuff, and that was kind of a very successful show for us, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So you happier behind the camera or performing?
I like performing, but for me, sometimes working behind the camera is a type of performance as well. I have a particular type of style which lends itself well to the metal detecting videos I do as well. They're kind of utility. There's fun in them. So I've been behind the camera completely for some shows I've done for Fandango, but I've also been in front of the camera and behind the camera at the same time for stuff I've done like on the Jace Hall Show, which I find very, very rewarding and fun.
I don't know, when you're doing your metal detecting videos, you're using a GoPro camera.
I use 3 GoPros.
Yeah, and you're doing something for GoPro right now as we speak, right? You're a documentary or something for them?
Yeah, it was just announced a couple of weeks ago in Variety that GoPro is launching an original content platform that's going to be coming out sometime in early 2017, I think. I can't remember the article. If you go GoPro, new platform, Variety, you can read about it. But GoPro they're making some original programming, and we're producing here at our company a show for them. We're working with them very closely to create a really cool show about video games and video game culture. That's what's been keeping me so busy and away from metal detecting.
Yeah, you think about it all the time, though, when you're like, everybody's got their day jobs. Or night jobs, but you're constantly thinking about metal detecting, and then you can't wait to go out that weekend, and you get all excited, and you load up your truck. You can't wait to get to the site. it's just a really cool feeling. Now you're swinging the XP Deus, right? Yep. Is that what you're swinging right now?
With the mighty.
And how long have you been using that? And give us your feedback on the XP.
This is the only metal detector I've ever used. I got it because when I was doing my YouTube, Wikipedia, internet research on metal detectors, I came across this one. I was looking at everything, but I landed on this one because it was so freaking just simple looking. Like, just on the outside looking at it, I'm like, that's a pretty simple, elegant machine visually.
Boy, did you get duped.
What was that?
Boy, did you get duped.
Yeah, I guess it is pretty complicated when you get into that little control box on the end of it. But it was, I liked the way it looked, which is probably not the best reason to pick a metal detector, but that's what led me down the XP path. And then I stumbled upon this video series by Gary Blackwell where he was going through all the basic operations. And I have to tell you, I really, really liked his videos a great deal because they were so utility. They were just so straight to the point, matter of fact. And here's this very reserved, and I don't know if you guys know Gary. I don't know him. I've had the fortunate chance of talking to him briefly since I started getting into this a little bit. But when I was watching his videos originally, I'm like, this is like a really dignified, cool, guy that's just giving me this awesome information about this metal detector in a no-nonsense, straightforward, deadpan way. I'm like, I just want to buy this damn thing because of his videos. that was my connection. And so I got this one because I figured, it's going to detect metal. Maybe it won't do some things that others do, and it does things others. But at the end of the day, I can learn how to use this. If you put time and energy into any one of these amazing machines in this particular price range, you're going to figure out how to metal detect. But I like this one because it was kind of nerdy. It had everything was wireless.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of a technophile a little bit. I like technical things. So this one, I figured if I was walking around with it and met a lady, I could talk to her about it and she'd think I was cool.
Yeah, well, your metal detector is French, so that's a little persuasive there. I'm still waiting for mine. Gary's going to supposedly be sending one my way soon.
Look, Gary's
right now,
busy guy. He's out there getting those Roman coins. He's a busy man.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh yeah.
Got to give him time.
But I watch Gary's videos just to bone up on it before even if it did come my way. And his videos are easy to watch, and I've watched him maybe 4 or 5 of them, and then I rewatched them, and I think I had the Deus down pat before even, if I haven't used it yet, but it's his like you said, they're pretty simplified videos, and you can learn a lot from him.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Do you know, before I knew him, I referenced his video in one of my YouTube videos when I went to Murphy Ranch.
Yeah, actually I wanted to talk to you about that.
Yeah, and I said, judging from his accent and his background, I'm pretty sure the guy's Australian. and this is how I met Gary. I see this YouTube comment from Gary Blackwell, and it just says, Australian, huh? ? Because clearly he's not in Australia, nor is he Australian.
No, clearly not. But that's what I loved about that video. As soon as I saw that, I just started laughing because it was obvious he was British to begin with, and then it was just such a deadpan
I'm so dumb.
Thing to say.
I'm so dumb, guys. I'm just so dumb in my videos. I'm so sorry. But I am trying to metal detect. I can't stress this enough. I love it, and my quest to learn how to use it is legitimate. I make fun of myself a lot in those videos.
Yeah, I definitely love watching your videos, and I can tell you that you are officially, I think, on top of the board at place number 1 for nails this year.
Dude, listen to this. Here, listen to this. I have my fines box. Listen. Those are all nails, okay? I'm going to open a hardware store.
Recycling place is calling you. Yeah, that's a lot of nails. Are any of them at least square?
No, they're all rusted, and they're all not valuable. That's all I know.
You're going to get another art form of welding your nails together and make something out of them.
I'm glad I dropped a couple grand on equipment to go find these.
You can always build your house or fix some things up in your house with them.
Well, you're definitely saving about $10 at the hardware store.
Yeah, well, I'm going to spend about $100 on typhoid shots because all the rust poisoning I'm getting. Swear to God.
Oh, man.
How do you guys not pull the nails? I see these guys with their videos. They're getting coins and trinkets and necklaces. Didn't one of you guys find a necklace?
Yeah, actually, I found a pendant yesterday.
Yeah, I found a pendant. Goddamn Harry Potter over here. I'm pulling nails out of the ground.
Oh, man. All right, we're going to take a little break here. We're just going to compose ourselves. We're going to be back with Todd Roy, and we're going to talk a little bit more about what's going on with him and his metal detecting career and his comedy career. So we'll be right back after these words.
As anyone who has ever looked at American Digger magazine knows, every part of the world has its genre of metal detecting. Here in the southeast USA where I lived, the passion is looking for relics left over from the Civil War, that awful conflict that tore a nation asunder and then put it back together 4 years later to make it even better, but probably a little stranger. The Civil War is still remembered today, and in fact, in some places in the South, it is called simply the War. The R is silent, as it is in some places here. I've been a Civil War relic hunter for nearly 50 years, and I still am. But Civil War relic hunting is not easy. Thousands have searched the locations that pitted brother against brother. Although there were an estimated 100 million shots fired during those 4 years, but it is hard today to even find a few of these mini balls due to the sheer number of those who search for relics. This is not just with the advent of the metal detector. People began combing the battlefields and camps almost as soon as the shooting stopped, looking for a souvenir. Later, when times really got tough, some collected bullets and sold them for scrap just to survive. With the invention of the metal detector, things got real. In the 1950s and 60s, it was common to ignore the mini ball signals, opting instead for digging the larger targets, which, were belt buckles, muskets, or even cannons probably in some cases. Once most of the big items were gone, though, diggers started looking for the smaller targets. A lot of these were great buttons, rare coins, but most were bullets. There were millions of bullets. Let's talk about the bullets. The mini ball. It's a lead weight weighing about an ounce, a lead bullet weighing about an ounce, and it is the classic Civil War relic. Yes, there's still a lot of great things found. There's belt buckles found. Look in the latest issue of American Digger magazine. You'll see several Confederate belt buckles that have been found within the last 6 months. There are still good Civil War relics here. But if you really want to be realistic, set out to find a mini ball. The classic Yankee 3-ring conical-shaped bullet is probably the most recognized relic that's ever been around. And everybody wants one, it seems. Are there any left? Well, yes, of course they are, but it's getting hard to find them. In fact, to know where to find a mini ball, you've got to find where you shouldn't hunt. Do not search these areas. For instance, do not search national battlefield parks unless time in prison is something on your bucket list. Active archaeological dig sites. Don't search these unless you want a trowel forcibly inserted into unmentionable places by angry Archies. Do not search construction sites during work hours unless you are curious to see how long you can outrun a bulldozer. Do not search private property without permission unless you enjoy being called defendant in court. There are places you should search, though. Do search the areas outside of the boundaries of national parks. Over 90% of the battles and camps took place outside of the boundaries of the U.S. national parks. Abandoned archaeological dig sites. Sure, why not if you've got permission? You'll be surprised how much is missed by a professionally dug traditional test hole versus a relic hunter with a metal detector. Do search construction sites after work hours, again with permission. The bulldozers are harmless then. You're not a liability to the contractor, and everybody's a whole lot happier. And number one, do search private property with permission, and this is the key to it all. Permission. Without permission, you should never even consider searching a site, especially not a Civil War relic site, because of the fact there have been thousands and thousands of people that have hunted these areas, and a lot of them didn't get permission, and if you're caught without permission, you're probably going to have some angry landowners. Just know this, there are plenty of relics still to dig, as can be seen in the latest issues of American Digger magazine. The trick is just knowing where not to look. Happy hunting, y'all. This is Butch Holcombe, still looking for America.
Granny had a garden way out back. Twice a week she'd hoe that patch, and I would watch with wide eyes as robins followed her around. This one's okra, she'd tell me. Summer squash, ain't it pretty? She'd turn that earth and the worms would rise, and robins followed her around. And she'd say, oh, out here I feel like a kid again. My hands in the dirt, just a little old girl in love with the world. Oh, looky there, here comes that bird again. And robins followed her around. Robins followed her around. Someone's grandma too, moving slower than I used to do, but I'm out there digging just like she did, and robins follow me around. Here's a nickel with a buffalo, shotgun shell from long ago, and the worms they wriggle saying no, no, no. Robins follow me around, and oh, out here I feel like a kid again. My hands in the dirt look just like hers, I feel her near. Oh, looky there, here comes that bird again. Robins follow me around, robins follow me around, robins follow me around. Robins follow me.
All right, we're back with Todd Roy, and you're listening to the Global Detection Adventure Podcast. And Todd, if you can give anybody some tips or some experiences on making videos, because you've been a writer, a director, a producer, as far as camera work, what type of cameras, lighting, any kind of tip that you can give us as far as making metal detecting videos. How would you address that?
Well, the number one thing I would always tell people to look at is audio. The main thing that you hear when you see a video is the audio, and if the audio sounds bad, it immediately devalues the entire visual presentation because it sounds amateurish.
Yeah.
So if you're out there consistently making videos, invest in a good wireless mic or some sort of mic system that records audio, and just really make sure that your audio is clean, because a picture can look crappy, and if the audio is good, it somehow elevates the production quality. And always be aware, and I do this a lot on my videos, and people don't know this, I cut out a lot of my sighs, my exertion, right? Because people don't want to hear that. They really don't want to hear that. And I notice that a lot of the metal detecting videos, I hear it like when people are bending down, it's like, and just, we don't need that. We don't, if you just eliminate that so that you're just giving the utility, it will make for a better experience for the user. Don't breathe in your mic, guys. Stop the mouth breathing. Just, it's
what
not
about
helpful.
You're cutting your video up. You got these people digging live, and they're digging and digging, and they're looking for this coin with their pinpoint for 5 minutes. What would you suggest to the people when they're doing live digs, and how to shorten that up a little bit?
If you've got 5 minutes, and I do the same thing in my videos, I do want to show the process, but literally I jump cut through that stuff. I find out of that 5 minutes of me digging out a target, I find that one sweet shot that might be 4 seconds, and that's all I show. Because we get it, we understand. You can compress. That's the beauty of editing, folks. You got to edit that stuff. Some of the videos out there are so well produced. But I'm just talking to people that might not think in terms of compressing time. You don't have to show things in real time. You can compress those digs really fast so that you just get to the good shot. You show a little bit of the exertion, the fun of the discovery, and then you're out and you comment on it and you move on.
Yeah.
What about other audio? I know some people will use music to enhance their metal detecting videos, and there's like a 50-50 split of some people like it, some people don't. What's your view on that, and when should you use music, or if you're going to use music?
I've only, in my second episode, I did a flashback, a reenactment of a story, and I put music under that to support the I can't talk right now. Sorry, guys. I'm drinking
authenticity.
5 shots.
The inauthenticity.
Yes, authenticity. Thank you. The inauthenticity of that segment, because it was obviously a skit. So I put music under that because it wasn't real. But for the rest of it, I typically don't use music because I feel it lends itself more to a feeling of authenticity, of being out there, of, experiencing the quiet, the solitude of it. So that's just a personal taste, I've done a lot of shows like in the Jace Hall show or Fandango's Movie Threesome where I use a lot of musical cues to help sell the humor. But in the metal detecting stuff, I usually don't play any music. But I do add ambient sound effects.
Yeah.
A lot of birds, a lot of, just to create that feeling.
Yeah, I do use music as well, but a lot of times I use it on if I'm ever sharing photographs of a find, because there's usually no audio in the background.
Oh, yeah. That's a great mechanism for that. Yeah, absolutely.
I know that looking back on my own videos, I've basically taken exactly everything that you've ever done. So if I watch my videos from episode 1 up until the one I just released last week, the progression in 1 year is absolutely amazing. I mean, I've gone out, I've purchased a lapel mic, created a dead cat wind buffer to go over the top of it. Sorry about calling it a dead cat. I didn't kill one of my cats. He died, but still. So I created a wind buffer for it so that I could get the best possible audio. And I usually try to keep my video times to usually between 8 and 15 minutes. Usually 15 minutes is the max time you should ever give a video, but you want to keep it as short, and usually between the 8 and 10 minute period will keep the most people watching.
I agree with that. However, there are outliers to that rule. If you watch, say, for example, the YouTube channel Primitive Technologies, where this guy goes out into the woods and just builds a hut, his videos are very long. He doesn't talk to the camera. There's no music, right? And his videos have amazing retention. And they're sometimes up to 40 minutes long because you're transfixed by this guy's. Here's the thing. This is what we got to remember, guys, all metal detector guys. If we remember the TV show The A-Team, remember that with Mr. T and George Lepard? That show was awesome because at its core, that show was about men handling. That's all they did. You had a problem, these men come in, they handle it. People like to watch men do things. primitive technologies, you can watch this guy build a hut in the middle of the jungle for 40 minutes because it's this dude getting his hands dirty. He's handling it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And metal detecting has that element to it. We're going out there and we're getting down there, we're getting dirty, we're finding things, we're basically handling it. But I do agree that, you do want to keep it as tight as possible. But at the same time, man, if you're doing something that's amazing, you can have those longer videos as long as they're entertaining and you got that retention happening.
Yeah, there's got to be visual. You can't make a long video with just one camera. You're going to have multiple angles.
Okay, one more thing, which is probably the important thing, is the guy who's actually making the videos, the personality. Do you think you should be more yourself,
yes.
what you actually do, or, create something that you're not?
A character.
A character, because there's characters in this metal detecting videos, and there's guys that are just so monolithic.
Yeah.
Is that what you want to call it? They just and they just drone.
Yeah.
And then there's
monotone.
Yeah. But then there's guys that are just got this wit about them and this you just want to watch and you want to, look at their videos and you can stand a 30-minute video. What do you think about the, personalities? Should you just be yourself or try something different all the time, or?
I honestly, just like in stand-up comedy, you do want to be yourself and find your voice. I know in my stuff, I do play dumb sometimes, like when I called Gary Australian, but that's a joke, right? They're right. At the core of all of this, we have to remember that we're trying to entertain, I suppose, and at the same time, we're trying to provide utility and information, right? Yeah. That's the core. How you do that, there's a tons of variations. Personally, I try to play myself. If you hang out with me long enough, I say a lot of bad jokes all the time. I can't help it. I speak before I think all the time. And through the editing, I can pick and choose those moments that I think are the most entertaining. Mm-hmm. At the same time, I'm always trying to show visually something interesting that's around me or this cool place and provide a utility so that it's not so narcissistic. Like you can watch my videos and I might get to tell some jokes and show off my personality in some fun ways that satisfy my narcissism, but there's like 80% utility. So even if you hate my personality, at least you're going to get something out of it, informational. But I do think you want to be just genuine and honest. And if you're kind of a dorky, nerdy guy like myself, then I'm going to play that up a little bit,
Yeah.
Play that up just a hair.
Yeah, great information. I know you gotta be leaving us pretty soon in the next few minutes. So
I gotta go to the
before
bar
you leave
Sunday afternoon. I got to drink.
What's happening with you? What's coming on in the future? What are your next projects? Or give us a little insight on what's going on in the next couple months or a year or whatever.
Well, if anyone wants to follow me on whatever your choice of social media is, it is my social handle is the Todd Roy across every platform. If you go to my YouTube page, I don't have a lot of subscribers. I've not done much with my YouTube page, even though I've had it for over 10 years. I just started adding content to it over the last couple of months. So please go there. And if anyone is in LA and wants to get together, please just hit me up on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or whatever your choice is and come by. I'm in North Hollywood. I got a cool studio here. I work with great people. I like to meet people in the metal detecting industry because this place is so full of, like, you two and Gary and all these other people I've had the fortunate chance to meet, like these people that you guys are doing. Like, I admire what you're doing because I'm not at your level yet in terms of understanding the metal detecting and how to go out and find cool stuff. So I would love to meet more people in this industry face to face and connect with them that way.
Yeah, I think.
Well, I'm going to take you up on that. If like I said, I got to come out to LA to do some business, and if I got the time and you got the time, we got the beer and we got the metal detecting. You can get me to one of those ghost towns. Just a little leery about taking my metal detector on the plane. That something might happen to it, or if they're going to let me actually get it on the plane without thinking it's some kind of terrorist weapon.
Nah, you know what? I was thinking about because I just traveled to the Bay Area. I was going to go up there because I know some places up there I want to hit. And I was like, I actually got a really cool carrying case that I could ship that thing checked baggage, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, so you could do that. Or you could just have Gary send me another metal detector so when you get here, there's one primed and ready for you. I'm sure he'll do that. In fact, hold on. You know what? I'm going to vouch for him. Yeah, there'll be a metal detector here for you from Gary. No cost.
You hear that, Gary?
I'm sure he's going to agree to that.
I appreciate that, Todd. I appreciate that. You got the pull and you got the strings, and then, you know, anything you can do is well appreciated. All right, well, there you guys have it. And gals out there in metal detecting land. Todd Roy, it was a pleasure having you on the show, Todd.
Absolutely.
You're a really interesting guy, funny guy, easygoing guy. And
if you
single ladies out there, you're single still, right?
What's that?
Are you still single, or are you?
Yeah, I'm single. I've tried to have 4 long-term relationships in the last 10 years, and they've all crashed and burned. So I'm chilling for a while. I got to fix my own brain. I'm out of the dating thing for a while. Sorry, ladies. Or actually, ladies should be celebrating that I'm out of the dating scene for a while.
Well, you always got the Deas, and she's French, so
yeah,
you can't go wrong there.
Definitely detecting's my girlfriend, and let me tell you, she's a cold bitch.
All right, Todd. Well, I know you got to go. I'm glad you stopped by, and anytime you got something going on, you just give us a call, because you always got a place here at GDA.
Always.
And appreciate it.
What if I'm in jail and I need bail? Can I call you then?
Then we will disown you. No, I'm just kidding.
Lance is going to pay in francs. Yeah.
All right, good. Yeah, consider it done, guys. Thank you so much. I love talking to you.
Absolutely. We'll definitely be bringing you back on here in the near future.
All right, sir.
Thanks, Todd. Take care.
Hello again, Siren Kimmy here, getting ready to head out digging on what is shaping up to be a gorgeous fall day. Aside from pumpkin spiced everything, especially coffee, the leaves are starting to change and the weather is cooling, which means a lot more tolerable digging temperatures. And I expect social media to be exploding with amazing finds in the coming weeks. Isn't it incredible how Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, even podcasts such as this has opened an entirely new world for detectorists? There isn't much more amazing than being able to pop open my browser and see Roman artifacts being dug in the UK, incredible World War II finds uncovered in Germany, or even closer to home, colonial coins and Civil War artifacts. Before social media, the only way anyone can share in these finds and stories was through magazine articles. Think about it. Now we have a wealth of videos, stories straight from the diggers themselves, right at our fingertips. And even better, we can interact with one another directly. We can comment, ask questions, and remarkably, we can post finds and share in one another's research. I was so fortunate to be able to assist in the identification of your guest Gary's dog tag. To be involved in that story as it unfolded, he in England, me here in the States, contacting the World War II soldier's widow, it was such an incredible connection to people in the past. Without social media, it would have never happened. On the flip side, the mesh of personalities also allows for a darker side. Trolls, mean girls, and people with nothing better to do than attack and malign, which is just sad. But me and my friends, we choose to rise above and use the powers of the internet for good instead of evil. But I do sit in amazement to be able to interact with individuals on other shores, such as my recent collaboration with the man in the hat, Stephen Ocker. We took part in a Find of the Day challenge, pitting our digs against one another in 2 super cool YouTube videos. If you haven't seen them, certainly go check them out and cast your vote. But the point is, without YouTube, we couldn't share in this adventure. Without Facebook, I'd never met Stephen or Gary or any of the other fabulous people I've met along the way. In fact, some of my closest friends I've met through social media and digging. So while it may have its downfalls, I like to think the good of social media far outweighs the bad. I mean, the ability to interact with these personalities. Gary, heavy metal music fan and guitarist. Todd, detecting comedian. Me, former paralegal turned music journalist turned IT professional, now YouTube and Facebook detecting personality of sorts. All of us, we have one thing in common that brings us together in this crazy landscape of social media, and that's detecting. It's a passion that brings us to common ground, pardon the pun, and that is simply priceless. Anyway, thanks again, guys, for letting me ramble on in your podcast. Thanks, everyone, for listening. And be sure to get over to check out the Find of the Day Challenge videos at Girls Rock Metal Detecting on YouTube, or head over to girlsrockmetaldetecting.com for access to my Facebook, blog, Instagram, and other social media engagement. Until next time, take care, everyone. And don't forget, rock metal detecting.
Well, this is just an editor's note. I wanted to go ahead and let all the listeners know that we had a really great interview with Gary Fenn of Heavy Metal Detecting. We had actually brought him onto the show, and we had been talking with him for quite a while. But the problem is that the gremlins over on Skype were having issues with us once more. So what we ended up having to do is we're going to have to go ahead and not place his interview on this one. But we do want to say thank you so very much to Gary Fenn for coming onto the show and actually talking with us. Unfortunately, unable to use it. So we are going to be bringing Gary Fenn back in. He will be our main guest for an episode. It was a really great conversation talking about how he's incorporated heavy metal music from the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s into his metal detecting. And how his correlation between the person you just heard, Kimmy, and himself with their types of music and how they've been able to work together. So keep an eye out for when we bring Gary back into the show. He's a really fantastic guy, and he was a really good talk. But unfortunately, the audio was just so bad. The communication between us and him was just too bad to include on the show. So from myself and from Dave in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and from everybody at the XP Metal Detectors and Black ADA Studios and Black ADA overall, we want to thank you for going ahead and tuning into the Global Detection Adventures podcast, and let you know that in 2 weeks' time there will be another episode. So make sure you tune in and check us out at www.global-detecting.com. You can listen to all our podcasts right there, or check us out on Facebook. Just type in Global Detection Adventures and join the group and join the fun with over 5,000 people that are sharing and posting all their metal detecting finds around the world. So from now until 2 weeks' time, I'm Lance, producer, director, and basically the second string fiddle to Dave and his wonderful talking voice. We'll see you guys real soon.
This has been a production of the GDA Podcast Network.